During a routine vehicle inspection at Lashkargah, U.S. Army Special Forces, Sergeant John Kinley and his unit are carrying out their duties as usual. When two of his men start questioning one of the truck drivers, he becomes agitated and attempts to flee. As Kinley and the others take position, the truck explodes, leaving two of his men dead. The explosion killed his interpreter, leaving Kinley in need of a replacement. He meets Ahmed Abdullah, an unwavering but unpopular interpreter who claims he's in it just for the money. Kinley's unit is tasked with searching every potential Taliban hangout and IED factory. Frustration mounts as they continually come up empty-handed. Seeking a way out of this wild goose chase, Kinley approaches his superior, Colonel Volks, who gives him some informal, off-the-record advice. Get creative and go after the targets we've barely glanced at. Kinley turns to his colleague and friend, Declan, who provides him the information about a man named Faraj, a drug dealer. Kinley and his team capture Faraj and, after greasing his palm with a hefty bundle of cash, grill him about the IED factories. Faraj insults and threatens Ahmed, vowing to kill his family and feed them to the dogs. Ahmed throws in another bundle of cash without Kinley's consent. Faraj's cooperation level jumps from 0 to 100 faster than the lightning. Back at the base, Kinley inquires about Ahmed's background. He learns that Ahmed was once connected to the Taliban through the opium trade, but left after the group killed his son. After another tip-off, Kinley and his team set off to an IED factory, following a route suggested by Hadi, one of their men. On the way, Ahmed tells Kinley something does not feel right about the route. Ahmed asks Kinley to stop the vehicles, saying that Hadi lied about the route and is leading them into a trap. Kinley reluctantly agrees to investigate and tells his team to surveillance the area. But the team sees nothing. As Kinley looks for Ahmed, he already has Hadi on gunpoint, accusing him of betrayal. Kinley orders Ahmed to release Hadi and drop the gun. But Hadi finally confesses that the Taliban has his family captive. They turn back to base, confirming an impending ambush by the Taliban. Kinley thanks Ahmed for saving the day but warns him not to override his authority. The team embarks on another mission to raid a potential insurgent arms cache approximately 100 kilometers north of Bagram Air Base. They find the factory and request an air backup. But while waiting for backup, they decide to advance. A fierce battle breaks out between Kinley's team and the Taliban. The battle results in Kinley losing all his team members except Ahmed. They flee in one of the Taliban's trucks, but a flat tire forces them to abandon it. Pursued by the Taliban, they escape into the mountains. As they venture deeper into the woods, their radio is out of range, and with the sun setting, they decide to rest the night. The next morning, Ahmed is suddenly awakened by Kinley signaling him to be quiet. As the enemies approach, their radio picks up a signal. Going into stealth mode, they try to evade the Taliban, killing two of them using knives. As they move further, they are unfortunately spotted by some heavily armed Taliban, forcing Kinley and Ahmed to use their weapons. The gunfire attracted more Taliban to the vicinity. Having escaped from the Taliban for now, they rest in an abandoned house. Later, when Kinley is scanning the area, the Taliban ambushes and shoots him in the leg before knocking him out. As they get ready to take Kinley, Ahmed comes out and shoots all of them dead. With the roads infiltrated by the Taliban, Ahmed can't use the roads. So Ahmed changes his clothes like the locals, makes a makeshift stretcher, and drags Kinley through rough terrain toward the airbase. They arrive at a small village, where Ahmed purchases a used truck with rugs and hides Kinley under the rugs. On the way, he is stopped by the Taliban whose vehicle has broken down. Ahmed learns they are searching for an American and a Muslim trader. Ahmed decides to chuck the truck as it is too risky. With the help of kind-hearted villagers, Ahmed trades the truck for a wooden cart and some drugs for Kinley to ease his gunshot pain. Advised to avoid the roads, Ahmed pushes the cart through the rough terrains of the mountains with little rest. Kinley comes in and out of consciousness during the ride. At night, when he groans in pain, Ahmed takes care of him and gives him the painkiller. At one point, the carts will get stuck while ascending a steep path. Exhausted and on the verge of giving up, Ahmed gathers his courage and continues to push the cart. As he reaches the top, he sees their military base. He finds a small group of traders selling water and food. Ahmed buys a bottle of water and drinks. Suddenly, a truck with a few Taliban arrives to buy water. One of them discovers Kinley in the cart. Without wasting a second, Ahmed quickly kills 3 of them with his gun and the last one with a knife. After the altercation, the U.S. Army arrives and rescues both Kinley and Ahmed. Weeks later, Kinley regains consciousness in a hospital bed back in America. He cannot remember much except that Ahmed saved him. Declan informs Kinley that Ahmed and his family have gone underground and are on the Taliban's top 10 most wanted list. Ahmed's brother refuses to disclose his location until his visa is approved. Kinley tries desperately to secure visas for Ahmed and his family but is met with frustration and bureaucratic delays. Even after days of trying, he is either put on hold for hours or made to repeat his request. Frustrated and overwhelmed by the system, Kinley goes into depression. Haunted by nightmares and memories of his ordeal, Kinley decides to take matters into his own hands. He tells Declan he must go to Afghanistan to rescue Ahmed and his family personally. Declan tells Kinley about a private contractor to help him and advises Kinley to adopt a new identity to avoid the Taliban. In Afghanistan, Ahmed gets a call from his friend while he is with his baby. He is advised to exit through the back door as the Taliban is a few steps away from his house. At the back door, Ahmed finds a Taliban trying to get in. Ahmed hides behind the door and kills him as enters. Ahmed and his family manage to escape hiding in the back truck of his friend. Kinley meets with Colonel Volks, reminding him of a past favor and asking for his help in securing visas for Ahmed and his family. Volks tells Kinley that he is on the wanted list by the Taliban, but Kinley says he has to get the job done for his own sanity. Kinley says goodbye to his wife and children and travels to Afghanistan, where he meets Parker, the private contractor. Introducing himself as Ron, Kinley learns that Parker's team is temporarily unavailable due to a high-priority mission. Kinley refuses to wait 3 days and insists on proceeding with the rescue. Parker says his hands are tight but agrees to provide a vehicle and necessary supplies, instructing Kinley to locate Ahmed and signal for an airlift. Kinley embarks alone and goes to Ahmed's brother, who agrees to help him reach Ahmed's location if it means freedom for Ahmed's family. Hiding in the back of a commodity truck, Kinley sets off. On the way, they are stopped by the Taliban for inspection at a checkpoint. The driver tries to convince the Taliban that the truck only contains corn boxes, but they insist on checking. With no options left, Kinley quickly kills both of them with a gun. Hearing a gunshot, another nearby Taliban member investigates and sees Kinley and the driver disposing of the bodies. He alerts his team about it and is instructed to follow the truck to uncover its destination. The truck arrives at a small village and Kinley sees Ahmed fixing a car. He informs Parker of the location, mentioning the messy trail he left behind. The trailing Taliban informs his group that he has found John Kinley and Ahmed. Upon hearing this, more Taliban are dispatched to their location. Meanwhile, Parker and his team learn that Kinley is disguised as Ron, who, along with Ahmed, is on the Taliban's most wanted list. Parker prioritizes and prepares for an immediate rescue mission. Kinley quietly goes and sits on a chair. As he speaks, Ahmed looks up and is surprised to see Kinley. Kinley tells Ahmed he is there to take his family to safety and their visas are ready. He tells Ahmed they have to leave immediately. They all get into the back of a truck and drive off, with Taliban reinforcements arriving only meters away. 3 trucks full of Taliban pursue them toward the dam. As they engaged in a gunfight, one of the Taliban's trucks toppled, blocking the road for a bit. As Kinley's group reaches the tunnel, they get off the truck and Kinley places a grenade which explodes, buying them some time. But within a few minutes, a fierce gun battle ensues. Although Kinley and his group manage to kill several Taliban, they are highly outnumbered and running out of ammunition. Just as they brace for their fate, a lifesaver comes. An airstrike wipes out all the Taliban, including the reinforcements. Parker arrives and hands over their visas to Kinley, saying they are from Volks. They are airlifted to the base, feeling a profound sense of relief. From the base, they board a military aircraft bound for America. Ahmed gives Kinley a nod of thanks, and Kinley responds with a nod.